My name is Kevin. I'm 73. My voice no longer carries weight, my step has no shadow, my gaze stops no one. I've become transparent. People pass through me as if I were an echo of something lost. I live on the edge of town, in an old but neat house. The roof was patched by me. The pipes are still holding up, although they mutter dully when I turn on the water. It's cold here, but inside me it's even colder. The windows are covered with heavy curtains. The sun doesn't set here as if it's forgotten that I exist too. I have 3 children. Each one has a career, cars, and travels. I've invested everything I had in them. Actually, I didn't invest, I gave it away. And now? They call once a holiday, dryly and quickly, as if it were a duty. My grandchildren. They're beautiful, fashionable. One of them followed me on social media without saying hello. Formally. Like a declaration. I wrote to him. I didn't reply. I must have deleted it. They don't see me in the store. The saleswoman silently throws away the change, looking right through me. Once I stood at the checkout and asked to see the goods on the top shelf. She said, "Oh, I didn't see you, Grandpa." She wasn't lying. She didn't see me. In the hospital, the nurse talked to the doctor about me as if I wasn't in the room. "He's mumbling something, he probably doesn't understand." I sat in the corner and heard everything. And I understood. Too well. My day is like any other. I get up at 7. Water tastes like metal. Tea is a habit, not a pleasure. The plaid is old, prickly. The TV is silent. I don't want to hear these faces, these words. I'm not interested in the news. I've seen empires being built. I knew when lies were still hidden. And now everything is out in the open. And I don't care. The only thing left for me is my notebook. The pages are erased. But each one is like a mirror. I take notes. I write memories. Thoughts. Plans. First, so as not to go crazy. Then, so as not to disappear. I am not alone. Loneliness is when you are not around others. And I am. But I have been crossed out. This is different. This is weathering. Erasure. Lack of presence. And yet, there is something. Smoldering. Something inside does not let me go out completely. Fire. Small, like a spark in the ashes. But it is there. And every day, it grows. Resentment. Not sadness, not pain. Namely resentment. Like a needle in the heart that does not let me forget. I do not scream yet. I do not take revenge yet. But I do not forgive already. No one notices how the shadow straightens. And no one realizes that she is already looking back. I wasn't always this, shadow. I was once feared. Respected. Discussed in whispers on the sidelines and tried to guess what I was thinking. Once even my silence had weight. It could end negotiations or start a war, economic, of course. But no less bloody. I remember what the smell of fresh coffee was like at leather negotiations. I remember how in the 90s we built from scratch. When business was not about money, but about survival. Partners disappeared, friends were sold. And I stood. Strong. A word was a word. A signature was an oath. My competitors didn't understand how I managed to stay clean, playing a dirty game. I simply had a code. And I never broke it. Even when the world was falling apart around me. When the children were small, I dragged them on my back. Not emotionally, literally. I remember standing in lines for dollars to pay for their education abroad. How I mortgaged an apartment to cover debts I didn't have, but had to take out to preserve my reputation. And what now? Now my phone is silent. It used to ring 3 times an hour. Now it's once a week. And that's a mistake or insurance. I, the one who built it, have been thrown out of history. I don't join family chats. They don't invite me to birthday parties. Once I showed up myself, I sat in the corner like a ghost. My granddaughter didn't even look. But that's not the worst. The worst is the realization that no one remembers. Not how I sat up at night with a calculator so as not to fire people. Not how I saved my partner when he was being pressured from all sides. Not how I kept my family over the edge when everything was falling apart. Now everyone lives only for today. The name is irrelevant. The past is a shadow. I was the one who held the sky for them. And now I am superfluous. Ridiculous. An old man grumbling about the old days. But I remember. And everything is written down. In my diary are names. Dates. Mistakes. Betrayals. Not for revenge, not yet. Then so as not to forget. Because the world can be treacherous. But memory is something that cannot be taken away from you. Now, when I look at myself in the mirror, I don't see weakness. I see a sleeping strength. Old age is not decline. It is a phase. It is the calm before the storm. Because even a tiger in a cage is still a tiger. And I haven't forgotten how to hunt. Pain is not always a blow. More often it is a small thing that repeats, sharpens, drips on the soul like water on a stone. You can't hear it from afar, but from the inside it roars. I called my son last Monday. I just wanted to talk. He didn't pick up. An hour later, again. The message in the messenger remained unread. On the third day I sent an emoji, just to check if he was alive. An hour later I saw his story, smiling with a new car, the caption. #work no rest tomorrow. I worked. Always. And now, I am. Tomorrow. Unsuccessful, silent, unnecessary. A week ago I asked my grandson to help me figure out the TV. He came. He didn't take off his hood. He kept poking at the phone. I asked him something. He chuckled and reluctantly. But what the hell do you care, Grandpa? You don't watch it anyway. And he laughed. Thinly. Not evil, no. Just indifferent. I saw myself in his eyes, like an empty space. Like a shelf in a store that is no longer replenished. I remained silent. But something marked this day in me. October 8th. 2:13 p.m. A moment of contempt. Recorded. And in the hospital. Oh, this is a special scene of humiliation. Take the old man away, he doesn't understand again. The doctor said to the nurse, standing 3 meters away from me. I simply asked why my heart ached after the medicine. I didn't shout. I didn't demand. I simply asked. They led me away like a sack of potatoes that got in the way. The nurse's eyes were trained on mechanics, not people. I looked after her. There was only one thing in my mind, her face. Her name. Her indifference. The day before yesterday I dropped a bag at the market. Nothing special, apples, bread, matches. They scattered. I bent down. People passed by. They saw me. And they didn't see me? The young man smiled ironically. Oh, be careful, Grandpa, don't fall into eternity. I didn't fall. But I remembered. The coat is black, with a red logo. A tattoo on my neck. The date is October 26th. The place is to the left of the pavilion. I'm not broken. Just attentive. I'm not crying. I'm writing. My diary now has a new section. Pain in the little things. It's like water behind a dam, invisible, but it's growing. Every laugh, every whisper, every insult is a drop. And when it breaks through, no one will remember why it started. I fell. Right on the street, near the bus stop. Packages slipped from my hands, eggs crunched, cans flew. I remember the sound, a fragile glass mirror that cracked. And the silence after it. I remember how the sky spun. How the asphalt touched my face. But no one needs him, someone from the crowd said. And laughter. Dry. Indifferent. Mechanical. This word, torn from the air, hit harder than the fall. No one needs him. Like a sentence. A seal. A label. I didn't cry. I didn't ask for help. I just lay there looking at the black clouds. At that moment, something clicked. Not like a door, like a lock. The darkness that I had carried inside me for years, that I had stifled with nobility, upbringing, humanity, opened. Not an explosion. Not hysteria. Cold. Predatory, calm cold. It filled me to the brim. I stood up on my own. Slowly. I gathered the remains. It wasn't the old grandfather who was walking home. It was the ghost of a forest that remembered who it was that was walking home. At home, I made tea. The same, familiar tea. But now it was different, bitter, like a look into the past. I sat down. I pushed back the blanket. I opened the old safe in the wall, closed since the days of my triumphs. Inside, a black push-button telephone. A notebook from 2002. Old keys, IDs, pairs of codes. Contacts of people whom everyone has long forgotten about, but who owe me. A few photos that could break the lives of some very successful people. I unfolded everything in front of me. I opened the phone. Activated the SIM card. I remembered the password. The connection was lost. I pulled out archived documents. Old letters. Conversation records. What was once left behind has now become a weapon. I managed people. Previously, as a strategist. Now, like a shadow. I knew who was to blame for whom. I knew who was afraid of whom. I knew where to press, to make everything start to crack. The first SMS, simple, anonymous. A few screenshots, to the right emails. One folder, to the press. Without a signature. I didn't get my hands dirty. I started the chain. They can't see me. But the pieces started to move. And the old game started again. No one calls me grandfather anymore. Because grandfather is about weakness, about nostalgia, about looking out the window. And I no longer look out the window. I look through it. My son was the first. His company is a facade. Behind the sign, Ecological Solutions, is a system of kickbacks, merge tenders, fictitious contractors. I knew all this. He is still young, but not smart enough to hide his sins from the one who taught him to count to 10 silently. I anonymously submitted the report to the auditors. I attached copies of the accounts, a few insider tips. Professionally. Without mistakes. 3 weeks, and he is called in. For a conversation. Another week, and the news appears on the news. Scandal in green business, director temporarily suspended pending investigation. My phone is silent. But I know, he is already calling. Not to me. The second was my grandson. Bold, fashionable, with a look over his shoulder. He got a contract at a media company thanks to an old acquaintance of mine. But he didn't know that that acquaintance owed me money too. I reminded him. Calmly. Through encrypted email. No names. Just one photo and a date. The result? My grandson lost his contract. We can't work with a person around whom rumors are starting to circulate, they told him. And I started the rumors myself. Easy. In the right language. Through the right people. His eyes in the photo from the last publication are without luster for the first time. I saw he is starting to feel a presence. The one that is not visible. Mine. The third was that doctor. Interviews with offended patients, complaints about indifference. I contacted several through acquaintances. I asked, or rather, reminded to tell the truth. The truth is a sensitive thing. It doesn't have to be invented. You just have to slide the microphone in time. The hospital has started inspections. The management is in a panic. The doctor was transferred, temporarily. She won't see me anymore. But I saw her. And that's enough. I don't talk to them. The phone rings more often. Sometimes 2 or 3 times a day. They write messages. Dad, we're worried. Grandpa, are you okay? Can we talk? No. Silence is my answer. And it's stronger than any anger. There's tension in the house. Not in mine, in theirs. Slanted glances. Cautious conversations. They look over their shoulders. For the first time, not at the screens, but at their own traces. I don't break. I make them see. Each of them. Their true face. And me? I sit in an armchair. I write in a diary. I write down, not new plans, but the results. Because this is no longer revenge. This is a calculation. I didn't ask for anything. I just returned. Without malice. Without pleasure. Simply, like geometry, what you gave, you got back. Nobody sees me. But now everyone feels me. In my hands is a pen. Slightly worn. Metal. Once a gift. Once a symbol. I open the diary. The page is the last. Today is Sunday. Today they came. Son, daughter, grandchildren for the first time in many years, all together. Not for an occasion. Without gifts. Without cameras. Not out of obligation. But, it seems, out of fear. Because of that elusive presence that hangs in the air. Because each of them felt something had changed. Not outside, inside. They sat as if in confession. The son began to speak. His voice was even, but his hands betrayed nerves. Dad, we understood. We may have lost you somewhere. I didn't answer. My granddaughter held the cup with both hands. For the first time, not with a phone. She looked at me. In the eyes. And for the first time, she didn't look away. I saw in them shadows of guilt. Confusion. A desire to return, at least something. But I no longer extend my hands. I am not a temple. I am not forgiveness. I am memory. And my silence hits deeper than any words. I do not hate them. I simply removed the illusions. I showed them who they are. Not through a scream, but through a fall. My revenge is not destruction. It is a discovery. This is what everyone is afraid of, seeing themselves without decorations. I did not seek gratitude. I do not expect tears. Because old age is not the end. This is a level where you already see everything. And you are silent not because there is nothing to say, but because there is no need to say anything anymore. The last entry in the diary. I disappeared, and that is why I became visible. I was silent, and that is why I was heard. Did I forgive? No. But I did not take revenge either. I gave everyone their face back. Sometimes that is enough. Now I am not a shadow. I am an eye in the darkness. And everyone who once despised will remember, old age is not weakness. It is a strength that is better not to awaken. I closed my diary. I looked out the window. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel the cold. The end. If you like it, I'll be happy to compile the entire story into a single file, ready for voiceover, adaptation, or video. Or, if you want, we can create a cover for this story or design a trailer.
Subscribe and like this video. More interesting revenge stories of elderly people coming soon.